Today's video is going to be in response to some advice I found on YouTube about how to not be broke, as if it were that easy. I am going to respond to some of the tips and words of wisdom that were given in that video. Of course, give my take on it and then ask you for your feedback. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Seun Shokunbi, and on this channel, I help Black women bootstrap their way to financial security and purpose. If that sounds like something that you're interested in, please make sure you subscribe to this channel and then hit the bell notification icon directly next to the channel name so that you get updates every time I upload a video every Tuesday and Friday. So let's begin. So per usual, I'm going to shout out the channel and the creator that inspired this video. The channel name is Clever Girl Finance, and the two videos that I'm responding to, is actually two this time, are called Feel Like You're Always Broke. Here's what to do to stop being broke. And then the other video is How We Invest Our Money. Real women discuss investing to build real wealth. All right, so I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure that I hit all the salient points that were brought up in each of those videos. But bullet number one is basically that there is generally a lot of anxiety right now about being the sole breadwinner. And that goes mainly for Black women, although there are multiple people who are dealing with this issue right now, specifically in the United States. So there's a growing number of single parent households, most of them led by Black women. There's a growing number of single Black women, period, who are not getting married, either by choice or not by choice. And they have no kids, no husband, but that doesn't mean that they don't still have large financial burdens to bear. And so essentially, whether you're a single parent or a single woman trying to enjoy life, all the pressure of building financial wealth and security is falling on you. And that can be daunting. So here are just some numbers to put it into perspective. Black women hold 90% less of the wealth that the average American white man has. 90% less than the wealth that an average American white man holds by himself. This is not in combination with his wife, with I don't know, maybe his kids and giving him like an allowance, I don't know. But on average, Black women have only 10% of the wealth that an average white man has. And this is according to CNN Business, by the way. The statistics that I just mentioned and this that I'm going to mention right now, only 0.5% of Black women own their own business. So yes, we are the fastest growing rate of entrepreneurs or people who are going into entrepreneurship. But frankly, it's because it's not by choice, but it's by force. Like, we have to do something in order to make sure that we can survive financially and in terms of just fulfilling what our purpose is. Again, hence the purpose of this channel. How can we feel like we're being productive, both in, just paying our bills, point blank, and then also contributing to society or to the world when people will not hire us? People will hire us, but at very, very low rates, or we have to start our own businesses. And even when we luckily, if we can be lucky enough to start it, are not generating as much income as the average white man. So it's a lot of pressure to put on Black women to say, well, you are responsible for why you are where you are financially or where you are in life in terms of your career, when the the odds are stacked against us. So my second bullet point is that in response to, I should say, Clever Girl Finance's video, is that we need to be truthful about the US job market and what kind of position that it puts Black women in, right? So this part of my response is actually inspired by an article that was going viral. I think the Business Insider piece is the best one that I've seen so far, detailing the situation, but it was eye-opening. So there was a Florida white man specifically, this is important to specify, that applied to 50 jobs that he was overqualified for, and these were so-called entry-level positions. So he was overqualified for them, applied for at least 50. He only got a call back to interview for one job opportunity out of the 50, and this was over a period of 6 months. And out of all 50 jobs that he applied to, remember, he is overqualified, he was given 0 job offers. And this is a white man in America who is actually really eager and trying to attain a job. He said that he was already working full time with another employer that he was very happy with, but I guess he was trying to see as an experiment what would happen if he was desperate to get hired. And over the course of 6 months, absolutely 0 job offers. Now, even though, and this is where statistics for Black women gets a little complicated, even though Black women have traditionally, in general, the highest labor force participation, it doesn't equate to higher job security, which is counterintuitive, I know, but welcome to America. So basically, here are some statistics from the Department of Labor that says that over the pandemic, so during 2020, when we were all just new to the situation of this new normal and we were, for the most part, staying at home, the unemployment rate for Black women was the highest out of all groups. It was at 10.9%. And that's in comparison to white women in general, which is 7.6%, and then all women 8.3%. So again, Black women's unemployment rate was 10.9% compared to 7.6% for white women during the pandemic. And again, even though we have the highest labor participation rate than most other gender or race groups, we are still underpaid, guys. We are still underpaid. And usually we are put into positions that we are overqualified for, because we are also one of the highest, we are growing at the highest rate in terms of the level of education that we're attaining. But we are still relegated to lower positions with less seniority and less pay. So I want to make sure that, again, we are being very realistic about the expectations that we set for Black women when we say, oh, and this includes me as someone who is advocating for financial freedom, for getting passive income, blah, blah, blah. I have to be mindful of the fact that Black women are dealing with a lot more in terms of the pressures that society puts on them that prevents them from building up the savings or building up the wealth that they need to grow financial security. So my second to last bullet point, and this is bullet point number 3, investing as your sole source of income, especially if you are saying that I just can't keep a steady job, or my job is not willing to pay me more than I need to pay my bills and survive. Just relying solely on the stock market as your source of income is very, very risky, especially as a Black woman, and it's not recommended. Now, again, I know that I have a video on this channel called 5 Steps to Making $1,000 a Week in the Stock Market. And yes, that is playing a large part in how I'm affording to live abroad, how I'm affording to be a digital nomad, etc. However, I mentioned in that video, or I mentioned at least in the video that I did afterwards, that I still pursue other projects. I basically use my secured $1,000 a week from investing as a buffer to allow me to explore other avenues of generating passive income that I feel are more aligned with my interest and are more aligned with the lifestyle that I want to live, right? But that does not mean that I am only going to depend on the stock market as my source of income. That I would not recommend, especially as a Black woman, and maybe other people are going to have different opinions about this, but I have the stats to back it up. I'm not just saying this to say it. So I went to Motley Fool, which is a great blog if you want to learn more about investing, building a portfolio, etc. And they have an article that breaks down basically how much you have to save up in order to become a millionaire and how long it will take you to become a millionaire if you save this set amount, right? So, for example, and this is the lowest that they have right now, and for some people, this is a struggle. But if you invest at least $100 a month in the stock market, you will still have to wait 53 years before you become a millionaire. Again, if you invest only $100 a month into the stock market, you have 52 years to wait before you become a millionaire. I don't know how old you are watching this video right now, but for me, I would be in my 80s if I had to wait that long before enjoying millionaire status. And again, there's a lot of people on YouTube who are saying, yeah, we became a millionaire, we retired early at 40, blah, blah, blah. And they are just extremely lucky and privileged, frankly, because they probably had very, very good paying jobs that allowed them to put a lot more capital into the market and take a little bit more calculated risk to get them to that point. And not everyone who is watching those videos is in the same kind of position. One more piece of statistics. If you are 25 years old watching this video right now and you save $850 every month to invest in the stock market, you will have by the age of 50 $1 million. So that's 25 years to becoming a millionaire rather than 53 years when you're just investing $100 a month. Again, for a average 25-year-old, being able to save $850 a month, actually, scratch that, the average 25-year-old Black woman, single or not, who is, well, let's just say single, who is going to be able to save $850 a month with her income that she's earning. Unfortunately, the stats just show that that's not likely at all. And so now my final bullet point 4, is less based on statistics, even though there's definitely statistics that can back this. But this is just more so like just keeping it real and bringing some human element to this whole conversation around building financial security and wealth for Black women. And it's in response to a line that Clever Girl Finance said in her video that, I'm not gonna lie, it made my skin crawl a little bit, because it's that kind of pull yourself up by the bootstraps kind of mentality, even though yes, I know I say that I help you bootstrap your way, but I mean it in a different way. But anyway, this is the line. She says that she makes a comment about self-discipline and saying that you as a prospective investor who is wondering why you're always broke needs to reconsider how self-disciplined you are in putting aside enough money in order to invest in the stock market. And I want to just make sure that we are clear that there are so many other reasons besides laziness for why it's hard for people to save and invest money. And I think that this kind of statement about self-discipline is something that's very easy for someone from a middle class / upper middle class lifestyle to say to someone who is from a lower income status and who's making a lot less. It's very easy for people in privilege to say, oh, don't think about going on vacation. Oh, don't worry about treating yourself. You need to just focus on putting that money aside so that you can get wealth, right? For a lot of us, retail therapy is the only therapy that we have access to or can afford, right? That is the means by which women who are, sadly, because of society, put in a position where they are working 12 hours a day just to barely put enough food on the table. And we're trying to tell them that they shouldn't spend any money at all to make themselves feel good, because they need to be working towards putting that money in savings in order to invest and hopefully in 25 or 50 years become a millionaire. Let's be real. We are not sending that same kind of signal or having that same kind of conversation with other types of people. And so I just really want to make sure that I am open and honest with the audience on my channel about this conversation, right? We should encourage, this is what I would say, instead of putting so much emphasis on the individual and putting so much blame on them for their position in life, we need to realize that that society has to catch up, right, to the fact that we are very self-aware already of our issues and our problems, and we're just basically holding it together by a thread. And instead say, let's become the society that we wish to see that would empower or create an environment that would empower more women to be able to survive. So support groups, rather than putting so much emphasis on the individual, again, to figure herself out, build a community. And I'm saying this about those women in privilege. Extend your hand down, and I don't mean that in a condescending way, but extend your hand down once you've reached up the ladder, to women who are trying to get like you, right? But because literally of societal issues cannot afford to get to that level. So support groups that are referring people to job opportunities. So if you have an internal referral system for your full-time employer, and you know another woman who is in a position right now where she's working maybe like a blue collar class job, but wants to consider going into the corporate space and maybe doesn't have the training yet, refer her through your internal referral system, and bring up the qualities within her job that she's doing right now that would translate easily to being successful within the corporate office, right? I think there is so much more to say about the skill sets, both mentally and in other and technical skills, that people in blue collar positions are able to bring to the table than those who went the traditional route, went to college, and then maybe were lucky enough to secure a white collar job later on. And then we can also do resume rewriting workshops, right? So in this support group or community that you build, again, instead of talking down and saying it's up to you to figure it out, where's your self-discipline, you can say, let me look at your resume, and here's some advice that I know from the inside of what you need to put here and there in order to make it more attractive to the right employer. Or you can say, okay, there's some skills gaps here and there. Here are some places where you can go and do some online training or workshops in order to build those skill sets that can make you more marketable. And then interview practice. Sit down with these women and say, hey, let's do a mock interview so that we can boost your confidence and make sure that you present as someone who is truly able to meet the demands of this job that you're interested in. Less self-discipline, pointing the finger and blaming the individual, and more collective combining of our skill sets and our resources to help uplift each other up. That's what I want to see on YouTube. That's what I want to see in real life. So those are my comments to try to make this not a long-winded video where I'm just ranting. Again, shout out to Clever Girl Finance for the work that they do. I really appreciate all the knowledge that they do drop on their channel, but I did want to make sure that I responded to some things that were mentioned that I feel for the average Black woman could come across as offensive, or could come across as victim blaming, rather than bringing a realistic mindset into just the kind of society that we live in, the capitalistic society that we live in. And again, this channel is all about financial security and financial purpose, making sure that you're both financially independent and also mentally independent from the shackles that are often placed on Black women who are trying their best to succeed. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Did you agree with anything that I said? Do you think that I am being too gracious to certain women who might find themselves in this position? Or do you just have something else additional to add to the conversation? Please do leave your comments below. And I would encourage you, if you're one of the women who agree with me and say, yes, I'm struggling, how can I start on this process of savings and building up wealth? I do have a video on my channel called Starting from the Bottom that you should watch next after this video, where I give some practical tips and advice on what to do when a lot of things are out of your control. So watch Starting from the Bottom after this video if you find yourself in the positions that I've been describing in this video. Other than that, please like this video, subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you get alerts every Tuesday and Friday when I do upload. And I'll see you again next Friday. Bye.